reports and meetings. It was a few days later that the group finally headed up to the gates of Konoha. Haku admired the gates for a moment before noticing that Team 7 had closed ranks around him in a protective square. Kakashi walked up to the pair of Chunin guards with all of their passports. "Hi guys, we're finally back," he said with a cheerful tone. "Kakashi," one of the guards said in returned greeting. "I thought you and your team left about a month ago." "A little longer actually," the Jonin admitted to the man, as he handed his team's travel papers in for inspection. "The mission was an escort mission though," the other guard said in confusion as he looked the mission orders over. "Unless it was real far off, you should have been back before now." "Yes, well first there was a black cat, and then the road of life got all tangled up. And don't get me started about all of the rain and stuff that slowed us down," Kakashi explained to the two men. Haku looked at Kakashi with confusion, while everyone else just seemed to wearily accept the odd explanation that the Jonin gave to them all. "We are also escorting a potential new recruit to see the Hokage. If you could send a messenger to warn him and the Anbu before we got to the tower it would be nice." "Yeah well our messenger isn't you, so it should get there before you do," one of the guards joked, as he handed the passports back to Kakashi who returned them to his students. The ninja all calmly walked through the gates, and then took the long winding path through the streets that led up to the Hokage office. Haku's eyes darted around, and he frowned a bit as he noticed some things. Naruto and Peter were given dark or indifferent looks while Kakashi and Sakura were treated with smiles or nods of acknowledgement. The ice user couldn't help but wonder why the people seemed to have such differing opinions on Team 7. He did his best to ignore it, figuring that if he was allowed to remain in the village such things would be made clear. The group was forced to stop though as a boy around the age of Team 7 walked down the road. "Sasuke!" Sakura screeched in excitement, and the three boys watched as the normally collected girl turned into a squealing fangirl. She leapt at the boy and hugged him tightly, and the others all winced as they heard his back pop in a painful manner. "Sasuke," Naruto grumbled, while glaring at the boy. Haku took in his appearance. He was wearing a dark blue shirt and white shorts with matching arm and leg warmers. He was pale-skinned, had long dark hair that hung around his face, while a leaf headband was on top of his head. The boy managed to pry Sakura off of him, and trudged past not even bothering to acknowledge the others. "Hey Sasuke. The least you could do is tell Sakura hello after she gave you a greeting like that," Naruto yelled at the back of the boy. The dark-haired boy froze at that and then turned to look over his shoulder. "What do you care, loser? She's still just as annoying as ever," he said dismissively before turning back around. "What, why I out her?" Naruto growled as he took a step forward. It was only the quick reflexes of Sakura that saved the dark-haired boy from being attacked by her teammates. Sakura was visibly latched onto both arms of the boys in attempts to stop them from attacking the boy. Whether she was trying to protect them or her crush was unknown though. "And if she's able to hold you guys back I guess there's nothing special about you either. Then again they probably have the three of you still doing D ranks," Sasuke added with a superior smirk at Team 7. "Come on Sakura-chan, let me at him," Naruto pleaded, not moving his arm though as he allowed the girl to direct his next move. "No Naruto, besides we're not done with our mission, we still have to escort Haku to the Hokage's tower and make our report," Sakura said. Peter turned away from the dark-haired boy. "Come on guys, we have to get Haku to the tower." "Oh yeah, Sasuke? For your information we just finished our first A rank." Sasuke froze at this and looked at the group in shock. "What, no way," the boy said in disbelief as he stared at the group before him. "Yeah, it's true," Naruto said laughing at the stunned look that Sasuke was sending them. "Guess you don't feel so high and mighty now do you Sasuke?" Sasuke glared at the trio angrily before storming off, unhappy with the thought that he had been outdone by the bubblegum-headed fangirl, the masked joker, and the orange-wearing loser. "He's too easy sometimes," Peter said with an amused voice, as he then looked at a glaring Sakura. Don't start Sakura, he started it when he insulted you, Naruto, and I just finished it. It's not my fault if he can dish it out but not take it. Sakura looked unhappy, but she nodded her head in acceptance of what Peter had said to her. The three of them turned back to the patiently waiting Kakashi, who had calmly been reading his book throughout the entire confrontation between Team 7 and the last of the loyal Uchiha clan. Once they made it up to the tower, they were ushered into the office where the old and wizened Hokage was sitting. Kakashi, Team 7, and guest. The old man greeted them with a smile. Lord Hokage, Kakashi said with a small bow. May I present Team 7, and Yuri Haku, a wandering ninja of the Land of Water. Hey old man. Naruto greeted, happy to see the man before him. Keeping my seat warm, I trust. Ah, Naruto, I see you are still just as excitable and lively as ever. The man said in greeting, as he stared at the group. I take it your escort mission went all right then? Depends on what you mean by all right. Peter quipped at the man. Yeah, no kidding. Sakura said in agreement. Really, I take it there was more to it than the letter Kakashi sent us then? The Hokage questioned. He did tell us you had some excitement with the appearance of the Demon Brothers. It must have been interesting to get to go up against such a team of ninja. Is that all Kakashi-sensei told you about? Naruto asked, somewhat surprised. Well, yes, did something else happen? The Hokage questioned idly, as he stared at the trio. Perhaps you had some other adventure that would explain your new friend. Did we ever? Peter muttered, getting agreeing nods from all of the other younger ninja. Oh really? The Hokage questioned the group, a raised eyebrow. Would you like to explain it, or would you like Kakashi to do so? We can do it, old man. Naruto returned happily while Kakashi stared at his team nervously. Yeah, the mission started out fine. All we had to deal with our drunk bridge builder for most of it till we started getting close to the Land of Waves. That's when the Demon Brothers attacked us and Peter and Kakashi-sensei stopped them. After that we learned that there was more to the mission than we had been told, had to do with Gato of Gato Transport. Sakura explained to them. It turns out he was running and financing a lot of the criminal network through his shipping company. He didn't want the bridge builder to finish his bridge, because it would have eaten into his profit margin and disrupted his takeover of the Land of Waves. Anyways, after that we ended up facing off against Zabuza, the demon of the hidden mist. Peter said, taking over for the girl. He was there to finish the job. Kakashi-sensei and he fought, then sensei got distracted and was captured in a water prison jutsu. Yeah, we managed to trick Zabuza into releasing Kakashi, though with some sneak attacks that I helped plan. Naruto explained while beaming at the Hokage. Yes. Well, after that Sensei and Zabuza fought for a while and Kakashi-sensei was on the verge of winning when Haku here tricked us into thinking he was a hunter ninja. Sakura added in. Yeah, he even had the mask and everything. Naruto said in agreement. Kakashi-sensei was by this time suffering from chakra exhaustion and had to be transported to the bridge builder's home until he could recover. Sakura explained. After that, we had about a week in which Kakashi-sensei prepared us with chakra control exercises. During that time we fought a trio of missing ninja from 3 different lands that called themselves Team Enforcer. Peter added in. Yeah, we kicked their butts all over the place. Naruto explained with a smile as he thought of the trio of ninja they had beaten. After that we were forced to battle Zabuza and Haku on the bridge on one of the last days of construction. Peter pointed out. Haku kept the 3 of us busy while Kakashi-sensei fought Zabuza off. Sakura admitted. Naruto was the one to finally stop Haku though. Peter added in, giving his friend the credit for the final blow against the other boy. He tried to sneak away and take the killing blow Kakashi-sensei set for Zabuza, but I managed to tie his legs up before he managed that. Peter then reached into Haku's belt and pulled out a small device. My spider tracer was pretty useful in that regard. he added with a smirk. Spider tracer? The third questioned curiously, as he looked at the odd spider-shaped device with all of the others looking on curiously. Yeah, I copied the Abaram clan Kikiku tracking method, Peter said proudly, as held the device out to the Hokage. With this device I can track a person wherever they are via radio signals and my spider sense. I just had to adjust the transmitter to send out a signal on a very specific signal. It will allow me to have a vague sense of where they are. The downside is of course it can't move or anything and can be discovered, unlike the clan bugs which will probably just get knocked off a person's clothes. This was how you were able to always be facing me even after Zabuza's hidden mist technique blinded you, Haku said in understanding as he eyed the device. Yet was, Peter admitted. I planted it on you when I used my slingshot attack on you, then I just left it on you in case you decided to leave without telling us. I take it you were able to sense my movements by sensing the change in the moisture of the mist. Indeed. Haku agreed as he eyed the small device with appreciation. Cool, Naruto said with a grin. That it is, Naruto, that it is. The Hokage said as he handed the device back to Peter. If you would now finish your report, he requested of Team 7. After that Gato tried to double-cross Haku and kill everyone so he wouldn't have to pay anyone. Sakura added in. Haku joined us, and we killed Gato and some of his wannabe ninjas, Peter explained with a shrug. After that Peter and Haku stole all of the money and land deeds from Gato's hideout. Sakura continued. Kakashi nodded, and presented the Hokage with the bag that contained the money and folders. Then there was the trip back, Naruto said with a smile. Since we didn't have the old drunk, it only took us a week to get back here. But while we were traveling we were attacked by a group of bandits and we had to deal with them as well before we could get back here. Kakashi dropped a ceiling scroll down next to the money bag, and the Hokage nodded as he realized it was likely the heads of the fallen bandits. The trio of genin finally stopped talking and waited to see what the third Hokage would say to everything that they had done. The old man chewed on his pipe in silence as he tried to wrap his mind around everything that had happened on the mission. It was supposed to be a routine mission, with the added benefit of punishing ninja that thought that they could make demands of him. Instead it seems that he had sent a training squad into a battle zone. He would have to talk to Kakashi about reasonable level of threat once the kids weren't listening to him. He then turned to look at Haku. He recognized the Yuri name. They had been one of the more powerful clans in the Land of Water many years ago. He had fought against some of the Hyotong users long ago before Kurogakure had started killing off all of their Kekkei Genkai users. He had thought that the line had gone extinct, but this boy proved that notion wrong. What is it that you want here, Haku? He finally questioned the young man. I wish for a chance to prove myself, to live for the memory of Zabuza-sensei, and to discover if I can still dream for myself. Haku admitted to the old cage. I have found that Team 7 is somewhat precious to me, and I want to be there for them if they should ever have need of me. I am a tool without a master. A noble gesture, the third admitted, as he looked at the boy before him. The boy was trained in the old ways of the ninja in believing himself to be a tool of his master. A style of apprenticeship and conditioning that had fallen out of use long ago, despite there being some like Danzo that thought it to be amongst the best way for ninja to train and act. I will speak to the council about letting you stay, young Haku. A ninja of your talents should not be ignored and allowed to go to waste, he assured the boy. Smiling at that, Naruto and Sakura cheered and Peter punched his shoulder in celebration. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Haku returned with a bow. The third smiled at the boy. I hope we can be close someday, Haku. I think you have great potential. Particularly if you were able to hold off 3 other ninja on your own for quite a while. You would truly be an asset to the village. I am thinking, Kakashi, he is your team's responsibility until the council makes a decision. Who knows, perhaps he will teach them in some of the manners that they are lacking in. He added with a smirk. He does have the Yuri clan, Kekai Genkai Hokage. Kakashi added, ignoring the barb being tossed at him and his team. I am sure that will help the council to make their choice. Indeed it will, Kakashi. Of course now I have to find another clan to take him in or be responsible for him as well now though. The third grumbled. As an orphan with no one to watch over him, the ninja council will have to see to his placement. I do not suppose the Hatake clan would be interested? He questioned the man. I fear not, Lord Hokage. Kakashi returned with a shake of his head. Besides, if I were to take in a ward, the next thing I know I would find myself being stalked by the fangirls again. Something I have worked extremely hard to get rid of over the years. The masked Jonin reminded the older man. If the women thought I was trying to create a family, I would have no peace. It was just a thought. The third said with a shrug. For now Haku may live in the apartments with Naruto and Peter. I understand there are still some empty rooms on their floor. Of course Hokage, I shall inform clan leader Shibi of this development upon making my report to him. Peter returned to the third. See that you do. The Hokage returned to the boy. You know, as a 14-year-old ninja, most of the ward and guardianship laws don't affect him. Kakashi reminded the third. Yes, but the clans would prefer it if he was under their supervision, particularly since he's from another land and possesses a Kekai Genkai. The Hokage explained to the group. But he wasn't trained as a water ninja, certainly that has to be a point in his favor. Sakura argued in response. The laws about recruiting wandering or rogue ninja is clear on this matter. That is true. However, Zabuza's dislike of the cages means that there will be other excuses that they use though to keep Haku under supervision though. The Hokage pointed out. You will also likely be confined to the village for at least a year, and be barred from the Chunin exams for the same amount of time as well until we can be assured of your loyalty. Of course Hokage-sama. Haku said. I would expect nothing less. The fact that I will be housed near those I trust is more than I could hope for. Good, go now. The Hokage ordered. I would suggest having Kakashi explain the various clans to you so that you may know which ones are which, since you have to give your approval somewhat due to your age. Team 7, you will all be paid for an A-rank mission, since to say otherwise is an insult to you and your abilities and what you went through. You shall also receive C-rank bonuses for bringing Gato's money and files back with you, along with secondary bonuses if the council decides to let Haku stay. Kakashi coughed in surprise at that declaration. Lord Hokage, that's nearly the equivalent of 2 A-rank mission pays. He said in shock that the man was willing to pay his team that much. That it is, Kakashi. They did the work of a team of veteran genin or chunin though as well. The Hokage reminded the ninja. You do the work, you get the pay. They saved a valuable village asset when they saved your life by engaging such a powerful ninja. They helped acquire large amounts of money and safe houses. They managed to help bring back a potentially strong ninja recruit. They helped secure a business associate with Wave, and helped disperse a bandit band. I wish all missions could be so profitable for the village as this one was for us. Now then, Team 7, you are dismissed. I believe you all have mission reports to write. The third said while looking the group of youngsters over. The group nodded, as they quickly broke apart. Peter and Naruto would escort Haku to the apartments, and then while Naruto worked on his report, Peter would report to Shibi. Once the doors were closed, the third Hokage looked at the copycat ninja with a piercing look. Is there anything that they forgot to add or that requires higher clearance level, Kakashi? Hoping that the Jonin would stay silent, and that there was nothing else that needed to be added to the report. However, he knew the trouble and chaos that followed Naruto and doubted he would be so lucky. Indeed there is, Hokage. Kakashi admitted grimly. The nine-tailed fox very briefly tried to slip through the seal during the battle on the bridge. It would seem that Haruno Sakura becoming injured triggered the emotional burst. I believe it was a side effect of the emotional distress of seeing an enemy wound a friend, and the first time Naruto was allowed to truly go all out against an enemy without fear of reprisal. The old man sighed as he realized the implications this could have for the boy he thought of as a second grandson. Very well, watch them though. The third said. If Haruno Sakura becomes a trigger for Naruto, we must know about it before it becomes a problem. Extra training in combat might also be required for her to ensure her from triggering him again. She did show limited skill in using a sword, Kakashi suggested to the third. And I have come to the conclusion that she needs some sort of equalizer to help in her training if she is to continue to fight alongside of Naruto and Peter. She has proven to have the arm strength to do this type of training. The Hokage nodded his head in agreement. I see, yes, that might help if she becomes an emotional trigger for Naruto. It is better that we take preventive measures now. We also shall have to talk about acceptable threat assessments later on, Kakashi. You made several mistakes out there this time around. I'm going to blame it on your lack of experience in working with training squads for the moment, but we'll have to look into it later on. You're lucky none of the students were killed or injured, or you could be under investigation for your actions. Imagine the trouble you would have been in if it had been Sasuke Uchiha that had nearly been killed. Understood, Kakashi said, before he disappeared from the office in a cloud of smoke. The Hokage scowled at the place one of his top ninja had stood moments before. I'm getting too old for this sort of mess, he grumbled as he began summoning the council together. Fortunately, there was already a meeting planned for today. With the Chunin exams happening in a few weeks, they had already a lot to talk about. He would just add this to the top of the list for the moment unless something else came up. Peter nodded to Haku as he presented the boy with an apartment. The trio walked in and saw that the place had a single bedroom, a small kitchen, bathroom and living room. If you need anything, ask Naruto to get it. Until the council decides on your future, it's probably best that you stay in here and out of sight. The Abiram ward advised the long-haired boy. The ice wielder nodded his head in agreement with the request. I will be back as soon as I can. It depends on whether or not I get to Master Shibi and the Abiram Council before Hokage-sama summons Master Shibi for Village Council. Peter then disappeared from the doorway. He chuckled as he heard his friend talking about Hyuga-sensei and what he would think of him. He saw a Jonin clan member that acted as commander of the forces located in the apartments and handed him a paper from the Hokage. Orders, he said calmly. The man nodded as he opened the letter and quickly scanned the letter. We'll see to it that the boy stays to his room until Lord Hokage and the village council decide otherwise. The clan member said to him. Go now, and report to Lord Shibi and tell him of what to expect from the coming meeting. The Abiram ninja said with a jerk of his head. Peter nodded as he quickly launched himself off of the building rather than reaching out with a hand to catch himself, though he shot a web line and used the rope to push himself forward and toward the clan compound. Once he entered the compound, he headed for the clan leader's office. He knelt by the door and waited just as he had been trained to do. He ignored the bugs that were scurrying under the door as he focused on the ground. A moment later the door was opened and Shibi stood there before him. Peter, the man said as he gestured for the boy to enter. Does your team's late arrival have to do with the Hokage bumping up today's council meeting? He questioned the boy. Very likely, Peter admitted. Report then. Shibi Abraham commanded of the clan ward and possessor of the spider bloodline. Peter then gave him a brief summary of the mission that he had returned from and all that it had entailed, and explained the situation with Haku and his Hyoton abilities. I see, and what is your opinion on what should be done with this Haku boy? Shibi asked curiously. Haku will be loyal to those that he decides are his precious people, Peter returned. If you gain his trust and caring, then he will do everything that he can to help you. A loyal member then if we can get him to side with the village, Shibi said as he thought of the boy's potential. If he were deemed an enemy then? He would do his best to avoid Team 7 in combat, but would likely be dangerous to any other team that engaged him and would show no mercy. As it is, he was for the moment decided that Naruto, Sakura, and myself are all worth protecting. He seems to be unsure of Kakashi-sensei though. Understandable, given Kakashi's actions towards Abuser. Shibi said with a nod. I would meet the boy before I make a final choice, but your assessment of this Haku and his abilities and skills are very impressive indeed. Go now and stand watch over Haku. I shall have some of my bugs travel with you who shall observe and report back to me during the meeting. As you command, Peter said as he rose from his seat, ignoring the feeling of various bugs hiding amongst his clothes. Shibi ignored his ward as he now focused on getting to the meeting. Talking with his ward had cost him several minutes, however the meeting had given him information that could be extremely helpful. He knew he could not rationally argue for the boy to be made his ward. The cold was most unkind to insects. Still, if he could convince the council to allow the boy to continue living in the apartments, he would be good, and he would need to find a way to control which guardian the boy had as well. Shibi appeared and sat in the council listening as various items were brought up about the upcoming future of the village. Bandits coming closer to their borders, the strained peace between some of the other nations, and the upcoming Chunin exams were some of the main items discussed. Finally, the item that he had been waiting for came up. He was glad of that as well. It had given his bugs a chance to return to him. The boy was everything that his ward had told him from what little they had observed from listening to the group of genin talking with the boy as they wrote their reports. He just now had to play this where it would work best for him and his clan. And now we come across the final bit of information for today's meeting. The Hokage said as he looked down at a file before him. Team 7 under the command of Special Jonin Hatake Kakashi has brought in a potential ninja recruit. The recruit was trained using the old style of the Land of Water Shinobi, but was never officially a member of the Kirigakure Ninja Corps as he had never been enrolled in the academy and was believed to have been killed by his own father and friends. He possesses the Yuri clan Kekai Genkai. He has the power of Hyoton. It gives him the power of advanced nature transformation ice jutsus. The ninja council leaders and elders all glared as they saw the hungry looks that the civilian heads got upon hearing that there was a new Kekai Genkai user within the village. What of those that trained him? Tsume Inuzuka questioned curiously while she scratched the head of her ninja dog, the wolf-like Kuramayu. His sensei died at the hands of Kakashi. The Hokage explained to the group. The boy has agreed to confine himself within the walls of the village for the first year or until he has earned our trust significantly. He has also agreed to remain at genin level for the first year as well and run only D missions. Saving another Kekai Genkai user would be helpful, and the strength he could add to our forces would be great. Hiyashi Hyuga said from his seat. Who would take the boy though? Someone questioned. Several eyes turned to Shibi, as they remembered that he had obtained the right for raising the last Kekai Genkai orphan by his clan. Some wondered if a repeat would happen here today. The clan elder grumbled a bit as he rose to his feet to make a statement. I would recommend either the Nara or Inuzuka clans be considered for the honor of caring for the boy. Shibi said, making his position on the matter clear. And why is that? The Hokage questioned idly. They are the best ones that we have that can teach him to increase his skill with his Kekai Genkai. Shibi returned to the man even though he was addressing the whole ninja council. The Naras because they are the best masters of using the surrounding area and manipulating it with shadows. The Inuzuka clan because of all of the Konoha clans, they are the ones most likely to be able to survive the extreme temperature changes the boy will create. The two clan heads nodded their thanks to the man for nominating their clans. Shibi's endorsements would be remembered even if everyone knew these facts, having someone say them added credence to them. Before we make that sort of choice, we need to decide if the boy is worth keeping. What say the council? The Hokage asked, looking the group over. Who did train this boy though if it was not the Land of Water? He or she questioned before any votes could be called. The Hokage sighed at this. Haku was trained by Zabuza Momoki, the Demon of the Hidden Mist, former member of the Seven Swordsmen, the elite combat unit of Kirigakure. There was several surprised murmurs at this information. Zabuza had a reputation as a dangerous killer and one that should be treated carefully. The idea that someone that had learned from the demon of the hidden mist was somewhat disconcerting to say the least. The only good part about it was the knowledge that one of their ninja had dealt the finishing blow to him. Now I ask again, shall we keep the boy? The Hokage questioned the group. Each member raised their hands at this as they accepted the idea of taking in the boy amongst their ranks. The Hokage nodded as he counted the raised hands. Very well then, in 6 months if he has proved himself to not be a threat he will be allowed to be given troop placement within the village. Shibi, if the village pays for his housing, can he stay within your apartments for his period of learning what it means to be of Konoha? Indeed, Lord Hokage, that is fine by me, Shibi assured the man. He has an apartment near many of my other clansmen within the building. They shall keep an eye on him until the time comes for him to go elsewhere. Good, the Hokage said, it is good to know that all of these things are being dealt with. Come the next generation we will hopefully have more than one Spider, Sharingan, and Isekai Genkai users. If each of them were to have only 2 children, Konoha would be the stronger for it. Before we make a final decision, perhaps we should test this boy and his Hyoton. One of the council members suggested. We need to know if it is truly worth the risk of the insult that water might take from this. The Mizkage might feel as if we are taking valuable resources away if we do this. He battled 3 of our shinobi to a standstill, injuring one of them considerably before they managed to stop him. The Hokage reminded the council. I would say that the boy has more than earned our respect for his strength. And who were these ninja that finally managed to stop the Hyoton user? He or she questioned curiously. Either they are very strong, or the Yuri clan died out for a reason. The Hokage sighed as he had hoped he would be able to keep the members of the Heroes of Wave a secret. He looked the council over before he began speaking. Training Squad 7, also known as Team 7, is commanded by Hatake Kakashi, the copycat ninja student of the 4th Hokage. In his team, which contains the full team numbers, reside Haruno Sagura, civilian-born ninja, Abraham Parker Peter Ward to the Abraham clan, and Uzumaki Naruto, a former village dependent. The old man ignored the scowls that many of the people were sporting at hearing about something that the demon container had done. And where did they rank at the academy? He or she questioned. Iuka, as the academy teacher, that is your responsibility, the Hokage said, as he turned to look toward a Chunin that had been standing behind him. Yes, Lord Hokage, Iuka said stiffly, as he stepped forward to address the council. Abraham Parker Peter scored the 2nd highest in all of the class. Haruno Sagura placed in the middle, scoring high in tactics. Uzumaki Naruto was in the bottom average, along with some other members showing specialty in escape and evasion. Combined they make up Team 7. The first group to ever be passed by Hatake Kakashi into a training squad. He added in proudly. It sounds as if this team that Haku was beaten by is average then. He or she commented in disdain from his seat. The only way to ensure that the Hyoton user is actually worth the potential danger is to have him fight a powerful young genin. Preferably one that has not been out of the academy for longer than 2 years. There are currently 2 rising stars in the ninja corps that might fit your requirements, someone said. There is of course Hyuga Neji, and then there is Uchiha Sasuke. At the mention of the Uchiha, several people looked up with renewed interest. A chance for the Uchiha boy to show some of his power to the village might be worth the time it would be to set up such a match, and could even be a preview into the upcoming Chunin exams, as the boy was already expected to compete and win them. I see where you all want to go with this, however the entire council cannot go and watch such a fight, the Hokage said from his seat. As this is a ninja matter, only clan heads and ninja council members will be allowed to watch. The civilian members looked somewhat mutinous, but knew that there was little that they could do to argue about the decision. Now then, I have to call the daimyo about when he should come, and the rest of you have preparations to make as well. We only have a little over a month to prepare for the Chunin exam final and all that it will entail. Tell me when the match is and I shall be there to see what happens. Give the boys a week so that they can prepare. one of the civilian members suggested. Sasuke will show him what it means to have a real Kekkei Genkai. Several of the other civilians nodded their heads in agreement with their companion. That would be the wrong thing to do, Shikaku Nara said from his seat. The heavily scarred ninja rose up from his slouched position to look all of the members over. Our laws clearly state that we cannot train rogue or wandering ninja. This would mean that the Yuri boy couldn't do anything but wait and watch while the Uchiha boy was taught how to counter all of his abilities. It would be a troublesome and unfair advantage for our village. Would you really have us dishonor one of our shinobi by doing that? The glares that the various ninja gave the civilians convinced them not to argue on the point. And what do you suggest we do? The councilman asked. It's really very simple, Shikaku returned in a bored tone of voice. It'll be somewhat troublesome, but we have the exhibition match done at once. It will also be a better test to see what the comparative skills are as well when you consider the fact that Team 7 did not know of his Kekkei Genkai at the time either, as I understand. That is correct, the Hokage said as he held the report up to examine it. All they knew was that the boy used needles and pressure points, something he decided against using during his battle with Team 7. As you see, my suggestion will give you a true examination of what his skills and abilities are, Shikaku explained as he looked up at the council. It will also allow us to see where the Uchiha boy and his skills are and what those of the members of Team 7 are in comparison. He added, goading the other members into wanting to see the fight even more now. The Hokage frowned at that, as it was obviously a way they could examine Naruto's strength. If Sasuke could not defeat the Hyoton, they might realize what Naruto had done on accident. If the boy lost through, they could be turning away a potentially powerful ally. He looked sternly at the ninja before him but finally nodded his acceptance of the request. Very well, I suggest that we have Team 7 act as the boy's guides and guards for the time being. They are already familiar with the boy and would do the best to keep the boy busy until his fight with Sasuke happened. The other members of the Konoha Council nodded their heads in agreement with the third suggestion. Until tomorrow then, he said and pounded a gavel, dismissing the council. Various members disappeared as they rushed to leave until there were only a handful of people left. Shibi nodded to the other clan leaders as he left. This had been a most interesting meeting for all of them, and he couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. If everything worked out right though, he would have several new allies in the political arena for a while in case he ever needed anything. The Hokage entered a room where he saw some of his Anbu and Iuka waiting in the shadows. Bring Kakashi to my office, I have a new assignment for Team 7. He ordered the Chunin, who nodded and left while the Anbu remained with the old man as he traveled back to his office so that he could give the man his mission assignment.
Hello everyone, I am Nat1995 here with a small announcement for the video game fanfic plot. I know in every ending of videos there is a small announcement that I will take requests for any fanfic or video game. That will stop right now. I have too much videos that I need to complete. There's sequels that need to be put up. I am sorry. For any requests that people suggested will be put on the back burner until I completed my videos. I even made a list of videos that needed to be completed. I am so sorry about that. Until next time, I am Nat1995, signing off.